Rome's story begins with myth, twin brothers, Romulus and Remus, abandoned by a jealous king and saved by a nurturing she-wolf. This tale of survival and divine intervention is deeply embedded in the Roman psyche, symbolizing resilience and the favor of the gods. This legend gave Romans a profound sense of destiny and unity, claiming divine origins for their city. It was more than just a story. It was a powerful narrative that justified their future conquests and the establishment of a vast empire. In reality, Rome started as a cluster of humble villages on 7 hills by the Tiber River, chosen for its fertile land and natural defenses. These geographical advantages provided a strategic location for trade and protection against invasions. Early Romans were a diverse mix of Latins, Sabines, and other tribes, living in family-based clans under the authority of the paterfamilias. This social structure fostered a strong sense of community and loyalty essential for survival and growth. Religion was intricately woven into daily life, with rituals to appease a host of practical gods. These deities governed every aspect of life, from agriculture to warfare, ensuring the favor of the divine in all endeavors. Over time, these villages merged, draining marshes to create the Roman Forum, the city's civic heart. This transformation marked the beginning of Rome's architectural and political evolution, setting the stage for its future grandeur. Kings ruled for over 2 centuries, serving as both leaders and chief priests. Their dual role was crucial in maintaining the balance between the spiritual and temporal realms, guiding Rome through its formative years. Under their rule, Rome grew from a small settlement into a thriving city-state, absorbing neighbors and laying the groundwork for future expansion. This period of growth was marked by strategic alliances and military prowess. Though still minor in Italy, the seeds of empire were sown in these early years. The foundations of what would become a dominant power in the Mediterranean were being carefully laid. The myth and the reality together shaped Rome's enduring identity, blending legend with historical fact to create a narrative of greatness and destiny. The city's humble beginnings would soon give way to greatness as Rome embarked on a journey to become one of the most influential civilizations in history. Rome's monarchy ended dramatically around 509 BCE, marking a turning point in the city's history. For centuries, Rome had been ruled by kings, but the last monarch's actions would change everything. The outrage over Lucretia's assault by the king's son sent shockwaves through Roman society, igniting a powerful revolt among the people. Her tragic fate became a symbol of tyranny and injustice. United in anger, the Romans vowed never to be ruled by a king again. In the aftermath, they founded the Republic, a bold new government of the people, where no single person could hold absolute power. Power shifted to 2 consuls, elected each year, each able to veto the other's decisions. Alongside them, the Senate, dominated by patrician elites, guided the state, ensuring that no one individual could dominate. Yet, ordinary citizens, known as plebeians, found themselves with little influence at first. This imbalance fueled the long and bitter conflict of the orders, a struggle for equality and representation. Plebeians, who formed the backbone of Rome's army and economy, fought back by striking and refusing military service, risking everything to demand their rights. Over 2 centuries, their persistence paid off with a series of key victories, each one reshaping the Republic. They gained the right to elect tribunes of the plebs, officials who could protect them from unfair treatment. The plebeians also secured written laws with the 12 tables, making justice more transparent and accessible to all. Eventually, plebeians even gained access to Rome's highest offices, breaking the patrician monopoly on power. The Republic became more inclusive, but deep inequalities between rich and poor, patrician and plebeians, still persisted beneath the surface. This new system of checks and balances, born from struggle and compromise, would come to define Roman politics for centuries to come. The Republic's foundation was both radical and fragile, built on ideals but always threatened by internal divisions. With its new government, Rome was now poised to expand beyond its 7 hills, looking outward to new horizons. The stage was set for conquest, and the world would soon feel the impact of Rome's ambition and unity. With internal strife easing, Rome's disciplined legions began conquering the Italian peninsula. Their flexible tactics and fierce loyalty made them formidable, and Rome's policy of granting citizenship or alliances turned former enemies into partners. This strategy fueled Rome's rise, but a new rival loomed: Carthage, the Mediterranean's maritime powerhouse. The Punic Wars erupted, three epic conflicts: Media, ancient battlefield reenactment, close-up of Punic War-era weapons and armor. Rome built a navy from scratch to win Sicily in the First Punic War. In the Second, Hannibal's elephants crossed the Alps, devastating Italy, but Rome's alliances held firm. Scipio Africanus finally defeated Hannibal at Zama, securing Roman dominance in the West. Rome's victories transformed it into a Mediterranean superpower. The Republic's ambitions and challenges were only growing. Conquest brought Rome immense wealth, but it flowed to the elite, not the common citizen. Vast estates, latifundia run by slaves, replaced small farms, pushing landless Romans into overcrowded cities. The urban poor became a restless political force, swayed by promises of bread and circuses. The traditional backbone of Rome, the independent farmer, was vanishing. The army, once a citizen militia, now drew recruits from the poor, whose loyalty shifted to their generals. Private armies emerged, threatening the Republic's stability. Economic inequality and social upheaval fueled political unrest. Rome's success was breeding new dangers from within. The Republic's foundations were beginning to crack. The late Roman Republic was a time of deep social crisis, and this unrest exploded into violence with the rise of the Gracchi brothers. Tiberius and Gaius Gracchus, both passionate reformers, tried to redistribute land to the poor, challenging the power of the wealthy elite and the Senate. Their bold actions inspired hope among Rome's lower classes, but also stirred fierce opposition. Both brothers were ultimately killed by political enemies, setting a dangerous precedent for political murder and bloodshed in Rome's streets. In the aftermath, Gaius Marius emerged as a powerful leader. He reformed the Roman army, opening its ranks to the landless poor and making soldiers loyal not to the state, but to their commanders. This shift would have lasting consequences for Rome's future. Civil war soon followed as Marius and his rival Sulla battled for control of Rome. Sulla eventually seized power as dictator, using brutal force to crush his enemies and rewrite the laws of the Republic. The Republic's old rules were shattered. Now power came from the sword, not from tradition or law. Amid this chaos, Julius Caesar rose to prominence. He formed the first triumvirate with Pompey and Crassus, a secret alliance that allowed them to dominate Roman politics and bypass the Senate's authority. Caesar's brilliant conquest of Gaul made him a hero to the people and a growing threat to the Senate, who feared his ambition and popularity. Ordered to disband his army and return to Rome as a private citizen, Caesar made a fateful choice. He crossed the Rubicon River with his loyal legions, igniting a new civil war that would decide Rome's fate. Caesar defeated his rivals and was declared dictator for life, ending the Republic's 5-century run and forever changing the course of Roman history. The age of emperors was dawning, as Rome's destiny shifted from the hands of the Senate to those of a single ruler. From now on, Rome's fate would be decided by ambition, military might, and the will of powerful individuals. The Republic was gone, but Rome's story was far from over. The city would rise again, transformed by the struggles and ambitions of its leaders. A new era was beginning, one that would shape the world for centuries to come. Caesar's assassination plunged Rome into more civil wars. Octavian, Caesar's heir, outmaneuvered rivals like Mark Antony and Cleopatra, emerging as sole ruler after Actium. Shunning the title of king, Octavian became Augustus, Rome's first emperor, holding absolute power behind a republican facade. Augustus ushered in the Pax Romana, a golden age of peace, prosperity, and monumental building. The army was professionalized and stationed on the frontiers, while roads, aqueducts, and cities spread Roman culture across the empire. Trade and ideas flourished, connecting millions under Roman law and currency. Yet this peace was enforced by military might. The empire's stability depended on strong leadership and secure borders. Rome had become the ancient world's superpower, but beneath the marble, new challenges were brewing. The empire's future would be anything but certain. The Pax Romana ended in chaos as succession crises and civil wars racked the empire. Generals fought for the throne with over 20 emperors in 50 years, most meeting violent ends. Invasions by Goths and Persians, economic collapse and runaway inflation battered Rome. The empire fractured, cities declined, and rural estates became fortified refuges. Traditional religion faltered and people turned to new faiths promising salvation. The empire teetered on the brink of collapse. Only bold reforms could save it. Rome's darkest hour had arrived. A new chapter was about to begin. Diocletian rescued the empire with sweeping reforms, dividing it into east and west, expanding the army and tightening control. His tetrarchy aimed for stability, but after his retirement, civil war returned. Constantine emerged victorious, embracing Christianity after a fateful vision. The Edict of Milan legalized Christianity, ending centuries of persecution. Constantine founded Constantinople, shifting power eastward. The emperor became an absolute monarch and Christianity began reshaping Roman identity. The foundations of the Byzantine Empire were laid. Rome was transformed, but its unity was fragile. The ancient world was changing forever. The Western Empire's decline was slow and relentless, beset by invasions, economic ruin, and weak leadership. Germanic tribes crossed the borders, sacking Rome in 410 CE and carving out kingdoms in its provinces. The army, now filled with mercenaries, could no longer defend the empire. In 476 CE, the last emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed. The Western Empire was no more. Yet Rome's legacy endured. Its laws shaped modern legal systems. Latin became the root of Romance languages and the language of science and law. Roman engineering, architecture, and literature inspired generations. The Catholic Church preserved Roman traditions and power. The idea of Rome lived on in Europe's imagination. The echoes of Rome's thousand-year epic still shape our world. The empire fell, but its story never truly ended. Rome's shadow stretches across history.